Hello. I think I'm going live now. Just give it a little minute. Try to move my lap out of the way. Hi. It's nice to be here this evening. And it's hard to believe how very dark it is outside. And clouds are covering the almost full moon. So nice to see you this evening and welcome back. We sent you good wishes last week. Maybe you'll catch up at some stage. Thank you so much for being here. So I hope you find tonight's little broadcast interesting and informative and something that will bring you something nice. So it's so nice to be here with all of you this evening, and hello from Dublin, and to you now who are here with me, and to whoever may listen in later. I had a couple of lovely messages of thanks this week, which made me realize that Monday Magic may just be reaching further afield than I thought. And also, this it's going on quite a while, but I'm not very good at marketing, and more people need to know, because anybody who does pop in always finds it quite interesting. So someone told me that my posts keep them company, and another lady mentioned that they make her feel brave, and these comments mean the world to me. I do get some private messages, and I get some lovely messages under the post as well. But it's nice. It's been kind of quiet recently. And I suppose then one wonders, is it worthwhile? Are people bothered? But I just can't give up on this. And even though I'm changing things around a bit with my business, I think that this particular little Monday Magic will become more and more unique in its own way. So I just want to give you the heads up that if you want to visit the different steps of life design, which I taught earlier in the year, I can't quite remember when. Something tells me it was around March or so. I taught the 7 steps over a few weeks, or maybe 8 steps at that stage, but they'll be here in the group. So if anyone wants to catch up with any of them, they'll be there. So I'm back at the Magic School participating again, and really finding it very, very interesting. But I've also spent the last 6 Sunday evenings with a wonderful mentor and 5 of the ladies, and I got some very interesting insights there too. So there's no doubt about it that by participating and collaborating and spending time together, we can all learn and grow from each other. So the main real message that I was given around Magic School and around this other group I mentioned is about expansiveness. And I found that quite an interesting word because, and it had quite a big influence on me actually, because of financial circumstances, I suppose I've been kind of in my mind downscaling my ideas, downscaling everything really. And I suppose my circumstances were causing me to think smaller, aim lower, settle for less than what I'd hoped for. But in fact, the message I was given is that there are no limits. And I was so surprised when I was told this. It reminded me very clearly that life design is a wonderful life skill, and it's a skill that we can use despite all our challenges. And I've been teaching this for years, yet human nature as it is, our default can be to play it safe. And we need to be safe and secure, of course. And we don't have a sense of that around our home or finances. But what a pity would be for me to limit myself and to limit life design and its possibilities for me and for others. So it really, really made me think again about expansiveness and all that is possible and all that we can achieve, even when things feel a little bit difficult. So I changed my thinking myself, and I woke up with an idea that will take everything with life design to the next level. And I even reached out for help. And I will continue to reach out for help, because sometimes that's what it takes to actually get where we want to go. So at first, the messages this week seem to be linked with my book, and in many ways they are. One thing that's come to me from writing these stories is that I never gave up, that I had an inner flame that would not be quenched. It was always kept alive through life design and through the love of those around me as well. And it has been very interesting revelation, and may even change the title of my book. And of course, my muse Celtic Queen Lizzie is leading the way on all of this. So things are constantly evolving. And I tell these stories so that other people who I know who listen in, who are working on different things, will be empowered and encouraged to actually, think maybe more expansively, to follow through on what they've promised themselves, and just to always be aware that this inner wisdom and these promptings are actually available to all of us. And actually, that's what this message is about this week. So I'm dressed in green here in Queen Lizzie's honor this week. I sent for a pair of pairs of glasses on Amazon for €10, and one pair is green. So I thought I'd wear them for fun. And, I just find that this muse of mine is all around me at the moment. It's just, it's just great. So I tried to shop locally, but I couldn't find any old glasses. So I went onto Amazon and I got a bargain. 4 pairs of reading glasses for €10. I love a bargain. So the main message is, which actually has come before we design our destiny, which I thought this evening would be about. And you may remember that was the chapter of the book. And actually, I see a lady called Alina here, and I owe her one of my books, so I must send it off to her like I promised. But I'm now, I suppose, realizing that everything that we're working towards, and certainly if we're using life design to do it, we are actually working towards our destiny day by day in all different ways. Unless we have worked on our self-esteem, we can be stuck. And I've been told, almost going around in circles, that we hold the key to this, and that stepping back into control when it comes to self-esteem is actually our own responsibility. This was a very clear message I was given this week. No one can do it for us, but there are lots of clues. And what I mean by this is, there's a lot of talk around at the moment about self-care. There's a lot of talk around about self-love. But self-esteem is very, very different. Self-esteem is really about how we hold ourselves in our bodies and in our minds, how we regard ourselves. It's actually the place that we function from. And I'm just going to go back over this message this week because I think it's really, really important. So when it comes to self-esteem, it's our own responsibility. No one can do it for us, but there are lots of clues. So I realized I had been given an oracle card in self-esteem some weeks ago. It was linked in with confidence, I remember. And I'm not sure if I shared it with you. I think I may have, but I'm going to share it again later because I actually like this oracle card very, very much. When it comes to self-esteem, we must check in with ourselves every single day. When you have done this, there's a lovely Celtic Queen Lizzie affirmation from my book that you can use. And I'll just read it to you now. It's, I love and accept myself, treat myself with respect, and I trust that all is well. So this is a very empowering affirmation that I was given in my work some time ago. And I'm actually going back through some of my work now to pick up little golden nuggets like this to share. So when we begin to think in this way, it's like our energy changes and we give almost an example to others, like with our energy, like a subliminal example. We don't have to say anything. We don't have to do anything. But it's this example of how we wish to be treated. So I did speak in depth around confidence and self-esteem and the link between those on the 9th of August, I think. But tonight's topic is different. So I suppose what I want to ask is, have you any idea where your level of self-esteem is? Mine had always been reasonably okay, despite all the stories that I'm telling in my book. But before I worked with my friend and healer, Artie, it had taken a bit of a dip, this self-esteem of mine. Perhaps it was my age and my stage in life, as the menopause is not very kind to many of us. Perhaps I was just tired of battling with my weight for so long and maybe not actually understanding what it was all about. Or perhaps I was just not sure where to turn next. I had tried to turn a lot of what I teach into a social enterprise, but I couldn't get funding. And rejection is hard, and I'm so sensitive, it was all pretty raw. But as I learned my own personal truth, and as I understood as I reached out for help, and remember, I'm here for all of you, things really began to change. And I took a step towards the solution, the self-esteem solution, and it took a big step towards me. I wasn't always so brave as I am at the moment. I actually had Artie's details from May until I finally reached out to him in September. But then it was the most amazing experience for me over many, many months. One question for him, like I ask here in the group, I ask questions all the time, are questions I would ask myself, made just such a difference to everything. No real advice or being told what to do, just questions that would allow inner wisdom to bubble up and, most importantly, step by step, improve my self-esteem. And I know that people I've worked with, particularly in recent months, have mentioned to me how good it's been for them from that perspective. It's kind of don't mess around with me self-esteem, if you can understand what I mean. And mostly it's strong, and sometimes it's fragile. And I personally was insulted recently, and it shakes you when it's unexpected. But when we've life designed to rescue us, everything is actually different. Even the first 2 steps of life design can get us right back on track, often more powerful than ever, because we've checked right in with ourselves and we really understand who we are and what we bring to the world. Self-esteem, I am told in my messages, is linked with self-responsibility. I was told this so definitely this week. No one can do it for us. We can help ourselves by where and how and with who we spend our time. We can also help ourselves by investing in ourselves, as I discovered, because we do this with a kind of an I am worth it attitude. And the words that come to mind, like those words, because I'm worth it, they are so linked with our self-esteem. It's unbelievable, really. And if we live life from that position, it kind of changes everything. Sometimes we think of that when it comes to buying something or going somewhere because I'm worth it. But actually, it's more in how we spend our days, how we find the time for our little morning practice, how we sign off from the day in ways that really please us and in ways that build our self-esteem and build our self-worth. And as I say, the responsibility of ours too. So I've given many tips about this before. In fact, I actually feel that, all around self-esteem and confidence and everything will be a Queen Lizzie course over time. But one thing I didn't realize is that building our self-esteem is linked with having more joyful activities in our lives. Even expression, having more joyful activities can lift our sense of hope in ourselves and in our possibilities. Actually, I forgot to put this in my notes, but I was listening to a lady maybe Thursday or Friday last week, and she actually said a very interesting sentence. She said, I'm only available for things that delight me. I am only available for things that delight me. Yes, we have to do, what has to be done in life. But I thought it was a very interesting thing, like an interesting sentence to live by. And in saying these kind of words in our heads or out loud or in our journaling or in our writing, we are literally giving an order to the universe for what we truly want. So the question then we need to ask then is, what brings me joy? What brings you joy? Now, this is something I'm very clear on. Are you? Because it makes a hell of a difference. There's many, hints about what brings us joy actually in our younger years. Things you loved to do then are very likely linked in with things you love to do now. Things that gladden your heart, things that lift your spirit, things that make you feel. So things that gladden your heart. I know what gladdens That's a great, yeah. It's a really interesting, and it was a new one for me. And I'm really, really glad that I remembered to share it this evening because I'd forgotten. Actually, you will love this one. I heard this last week and it was, I am only available for things that delight me. Isn't that just the loveliest sentence? I think you and I will live by that rule as we go forward. So I'm so excited. I was telling you last week that I'm going to have a new creativity space at the top of the house, and I've taken over Andrew's old room. And my artwork is pretty childlike, really, in many ways. But I know the freedom to create in this private space will gladden my heart this winter and bring me joy. And I'm going to take out some of my past artworks that were rejected when I tried to go to art college and have a good look at them and see if there are some hints for me there too, because there are hints in lots of things that we do. So when I was planting my plants in the garden at the weekend, I felt so happy. I felt really kind of self-connected. I think when we're in touch with soil of any kind, we do feel that wonderful connection, nature to ourselves. It's very, very beautiful. But anyway, it's kind of like planting these plants and planning where I'll put them is kind of a form of art for me in many ways. So maybe there are lots of forms of art and creativity that you're participating in, but you haven't really recognized them as so. But I suppose it's really important to make sure that that creativity, when it's part of your work, is also catered for, from your personal perspective too. I'm going to be really experimenting with all of this myself in the week before. So where am I now? Oh yeah, and I love that Philip loves working on the garden with me. It's like we can work silently for hours, just really enjoying it. And to be honest with you, not my Queen Lizzie work now, but my main life design work, he's definitely going to come on board and help me. And I feel that that yin yang that we have together, that masculine, feminine, will help me to get Life Design Property out into the world because I'm renaming the business and everything. But I'll tell you more of that again. So our little robin bird was so delighted with all the bugs that we were unearthing. And, we really, really have been appreciating the autumn, the lovely fine autumn days that we've enjoyed. And I tell you all of this because the joy that I was speaking about, those small joys, they are in the small things. They definitely, definitely are. So this evening, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of questions. Just to mention to you that I'm speaking this evening about building our self-esteem, our deep, deep self-esteem. So I would love, as I ask these questions, if you would take just a couple of deep breaths with me, and just allow the answers to bubble up from inside. And perhaps you might even need to capture the words because in the busyness of life, sometimes we forget. So I speak a lot when I'm teaching life design about captures, and they're little thoughts and little ideas and like that little words that bubble up that give us all kinds of clues. So what I'd love you to ask yourself is, what can I do today to build my self-esteem? In fact, it's probably something that we should ask every day. It's a very interesting question, and there will be hints in the oracle card I'll share in a few moments. But something that's really, really worth taking from this little talk this evening is, what if my self-esteem is my own personal responsibility? I mentioned that a few minutes ago when I was speaking. What if our self-esteem is our own personal responsibility? Because in my work, I notice that a lot of people are waiting for their self-esteem to be fed, if you like, or nurtured by someone else or something else. And I want to be honest with you, for many, many years, that's the way I lived. And I was lucky because, as I mentioned to you, my self-esteem stayed pretty intact through lots of different things I experienced. But what I mean by our personal responsibility is, instead of waiting for someone else or even for life to give our self-esteem a boost, we could actually be left waiting if that's the case. Why don't we do the little things it takes on an ongoing basis to make sure that we are, like refilling it, like I refill the water that I give to flowers, or refilling it with kind words, refilling it with the actions we take, refilling our self-esteem with the with as I spoke about last week, who we spend time with. And I don't mean actual people, but I mean the music, I mean the movies, I mean the books we read. All of these, the ones that bring us joy, have the ability to constantly fulfill our self-esteem. Now, I'm emphasizing this evening because it's very linked with the final message that I was given this week. So, our self-esteem, if it's diminished, what happens is that we are more needy as people. We're more unfulfilled as people, no matter how good life appears to be. And in some way, we are more diminished as people. Whereas when we make the efforts to fulfill our own needs and to actually give ourselves those joys I spoke about, what did I say? I am only available for things that delight me. When we have this kind of an attitude, it becomes really evident from our energy, whether it's when we're live or whether we're online or we're on the telephone. And this energy, this replenished energy, reflects into our relationships and into our friendships, into our workplace, into our family, and right into the attitude we have towards our possibilities. So this evening, like last week, before I share my final message with you, I am going to choose 2 affirmation cards from the Louise Hay deck. And then I'm going to share my oracle card on self-esteem, which I think I shared before, but with the messages I got this week, this card is more relevant than ever. And there's lots of hints and tips for us there. Sometimes when I read these oracle cards a few weeks later, I can't believe I wrote them. And, they're definitely channeled and divinely guided. They're not my personal thoughts, because they actually don't even feel familiar sometimes. So I'm just shuffling now. I actually energized this before, this deck of Louise Hay cards, which I actually had put away and hadn't used for ages. And I'm just going to pick our 2 little affirmations for the week now to actually bring us some guidance. So 2 have popped out for us now. So the first one, and these will be nice and for our self-esteem to hear. The first one is, my life works beautifully. And the little message from this is, everything in my life works now and forevermore. Isn't that a lovely thought? Everything in my life works now and forevermore. And the second one, it's as green as my glasses, look. Life supports me. Isn't that a lovely thought? That we are supported by something greater than ourselves. Life created me to be fulfilled, and I trust life, and life is always there at every turn. I am safe. I think those cards fit in beautifully with what we've been talking about this evening. Now I'll go to my own little oracle card in the little tin that's getting very, very full. Actually, I got another one today, but I'll share that another week with you because this one is so relevant this evening. So again, it's about self-esteem. Self-esteem, self-worth, and self-value ebb and flow through the stages of life and affect our day-to-day existence in subtle ways. How we see ourselves, treat ourselves, present ourselves are all affected by this. Heartfelt self-esteem is our truths made manifest. It allows us to be strong in our beliefs, in our bodies, and how we live life, every aspect of it. It can sometimes feel as if our self-esteem has been stolen. But like our talents, it can hide away and remain dormant until we give it an opportunity to emerge. When it does, we may be surprised at how it has been evolving and growing in its unique way in this cocooned state. Given the right circumstances, such as improved self-talk and self-care, new people in our lives and opportunities too, it can flourish without much effort, like a seed planted in the right conditions, in the right season, and the right place. This is the wonder of you. Self-esteem needs to be constantly nurtured, treated with kindness and replenished. When it is thriving, we feel the strongest sense of hope in ourselves and in the world around us. So I hope you enjoyed that, ladies. I really enjoyed revisiting it today. So, sorry, I'm just putting it back in the little tin because I like to keep them all together because they really are a beautiful gift. So, in the context of the direction that I want to take life design now, not this little group or my Queen Lizzie work, I was given the following message. And I really want to pass it on to you, and I will pass it on to others through my work too. The message was, if we want to be connected fully with our inner wisdom and intuition, we must strive to be, in a self-loving, self-accepting, and trusting frame of mind, conscious of caring for and boosting our self-esteem, as one would care for a beautiful rose. In this way, our energy will be aligned with what we're working towards, and we can only succeed. So I was given a quote from my Queen Lizzie book, and it is, there is a direct link between our self-esteem and the success we wish for. So I hope you like that. There is a direct link between our self-esteem and the success we wish for. So I'm going to share my little rose here that I plucked from my garden. Well, Mr. Lifedesign, or Mr. Green Fingers did, as I call him. And it's just so beautiful. And, you know, that we must treat ourselves with the graciousness and the gentleness that we would treat that rose with, and make sure, look, it's filled up with water and it has everything it needs. And I'm just going to show you a little bonus from nature. We almost threw away the sweet pea bushes last week because it's that time of the year. And I said to Philip, leave them for one more week. And this little bunch grew in the sunny week we've had. And the scent is just so beautiful. So when we look at the gentleness of these flowers and the beauty of these flowers, and again, give them everything they need, I would really encourage you to treat yourself in a similar way. And I really look forward over the weeks to come in hearing some feedback from you about this new message that I have been given, because somehow I think it's quite a special one. So thank you so much for being here this evening. I hope you found it inspiring, and I hope that it brought you some peace. I hope it brought you some joy, and it'll be here hopefully, if I upload it correctly, for you to check back in, because there are a few new messages here that are pretty relevant to all of us who show up in this group. So I'm going to love you and leave you this evening. Thank you for being here, and I'll hold you all in my heart from now until next week. So thanks a million, and God bless you all, and bye-bye from Queen Lizzie. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us and for listening to Lifedesign Monday Magic. We are honoured and humbled to be able to share Liz's words, wisdom and life design philosophy with you. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast, it would help us share her message with even more people. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another inspirational Life Design Monday Magic filled with more of Liz's wisdom, warmth, and encouragement to help you live your best life despite. We'll talk to you again soon, and in the meantime, take care. And as Liz would say, do focus on all that's good. Good luck.